I need to try and speak in my phone voice, or like when I'm speaking to a posh client at work, or it gets too cow beef slangy.
I know, I'm the same way. I'm trying obviously overcome that.
Right
some of your words will just slip out and you're like, but it's all good.
Well, anyway, Stevie, listen, thanks very much for coming in, and I appreciate you coming to the open mat this morning as well.
Oh, thank
Still
you.
got it anyway, haven't you?
Oh, definitely, mate. That's it. It's a wee bit rusty. I've not been training so much, but it's still there.
Definitely.
Still there.
What weight is it you compete again? Is it 70?
Under 80.
Is it, right?
The last time it was 70. Was it 77, 78? I think
right.
It was.
Aye.
77. I think it was for the ADCC.
Aye. I thought I seen you compete against Shawnee Stewart. That must have been like.
Aye, that was actually, was that before lockdown? I think it was. So this is an amazing thing, mate. I think it's my body type, obviously, but before the lockdown, I sat about 73 kilos, and then that was when I fought against Shawnee Stewart and with the SGIs, and through the lockdown, I changed my diet a wee bit. I've done a lot of fasting, and I was all body weight training. Like just when I first got into calisthenics, I done a lot of push-ups and stuff like that when I was young. But I got into calisthenics and I got into yoga and the breathwork and stuff like that. After the lockdown, I was sitting at like 76 kilos, and I was still I'd put muscle on. I didn't put any much fat on, but just with the intermittent fasting, calisthenics, and obviously my yoga and breathwork and stuff like that. Obviously, we're only training as much, so probably I would have put some water retention on. But so after the lockdown, I was sitting heavier, sitting much heavier.
I think I've ever seen you looking out of shape, to be fair.
No, I think that's just. It's a mindset, It's a mindset. It's no. When I was younger, I wanted to lift weights and look good and stuff like that. But like for now, it's about health and longevity. That's where I take myself through. Like I was in the cold water this morning, into the sea this morning.
What time was that?
It was about 8:30, 8:45, I think it was.
Just in there yourself? Just
in myself. I done some breath work and then into the water. I took a wee video for the side, just sort of meditating with doing some breath work with the sea in the background, and then into the water. But it sets you up for your day.
Oh, you can't believe that, man. Well, a decent performance at the open mat, so it's obviously making a difference.
Definitely, mate.
So, how would you describe who you are and what you're all about and your...
So, I think I'm somebody that wants to help people. I want to see people. This is a wee thing for you. When I had my own place in Stirling, and I would go up into Stirling at lunchtime for my lunch, sit outside, and people watch. And I think most people would walk it, the heads are down. The heads are down in the way. They're no so happy as such. I wouldn't say, like, more people are sort of just surviving instead of thriving. And I used to always think to myself, I want to see people like happy and healthy and thriving, like raising your vibration. When I had my own place in Stirling, I was teaching jiu-jitsu and yoga and a bit of calisthenics. I just sort of started teaching calisthenics, and it wasn't a gym where I wanted to have the best jiu-jitsu guys or for me to be the best at jiu-jitsu. I wanted to build a community, hold a safe space for people to come in, find themselves, be themselves, and just express themselves to the fullest. Whatever it was they wanted to do, if it was yoga, the calisthenics, or jiu-jitsu, because for me, and jiu-jitsu, I love jiu-jitsu. I love to get a hard round. Like I'll go into different gyms and like I want to roll with the best guys. But you're finding out a lot more about yourself than anything. You know what I mean? If somebody putting you under pressure, you're learning how to deal with that pressure. Yep. And when I was teaching, when I was running my team, I always spoke about how jiu-jitsu on the mat will help you off the mat. And I think, I don't know if lots of coaches are expressing it that way. Is it more just for competition? But I believe first and foremost you should be using the stuff that you're learning on the mat for off the mat, in your relationships, at your job, with your employees, with your employer, wherever it is, learning or sort of implementing what you're learning about yourself into all these different areas. So for me it's about helping people. I want to help people find themselves, be themselves, get off their vices. Something that I used like years ago to cope with life, get through my day. I want to help people like realise that they can actually go through their day by themselves without any vices, without having to run for a drink or a smoke or whatever it is to just get through their day.
I've seen your video where you're I think you're either in the van or you're having your lunch or whatever, and you're talking about the guys that you're working with on the roads, and they're in this downward spiral of just drink, drugs at the weekend, hating their life during the week. A wee bit maybe some drugs during the week to get them through the week, and just this cycle, never-ending cycle. And you're not preaching to them, you're not coming from a place of where you feel like you're above them. You're actually just trying to like slowly but surely show them that life could be different.
100%, mate. Like most of these guys are my pals, so I'm obviously no slating anybody for one bit. It's I'm just sort of observing. I want to help. I go out there and listen, and I appreciate it. One of my mates, one of my best mates who are kids, he allows me to work 1 day a week, or he allows me to work 7 days a week. And I'll go out there, I can have a laugh with these guys, no judgment, just observing, and I'll be myself completely. I'll talk, like I'm out there working with these big hardy guys, they're out weather beating and the work, rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is, and I'm out there talking about emotions and feelings and spirituality. It's words that I never thought I would even speak in my life, like 10 years ago. I never thought I'd even speak that way. But the more I'm practicing, the more I'm doing the inner work and sort of realising who I am as a person, and releasing my trauma and sort of my past mindset, programming and like the way I used to think. I'm just being myself, and listen, I was actually doing breath work with these guys in the morning. It's unheard of in a tar motor, in a tar Mac squad. But I just be myself, and I just talk the way I talk. And if they come and ask me questions, and I'll help them out. I've helped a couple of them like come away from hard drugs like cocaine and stuff like that. We teach them some breathwork, meditation, and encouraging them to get into the cold water. So I just, everywhere I go, I want to try and help people just to realise that they've got the power within them to actually just be themselves and to get through their day by themselves.
One thing I'm always interested in asking is, what was your life like before all this, before everything that you know now, before you done martial arts? Like what were you like when you were a teenager in your early 20s?
So, like I'll go back to when I stayed in my gran and granddad's house with my mum. I never knew my dad. I never knew my dad until I was maybe 2 years ago. I actually met him for the first time. But I stayed with my gran and granddad, my old granddad. He's dead now, obviously, but
sorry to hear that.
That's all good. He done push-ups and sit-ups and leg raises and stuff like that every day. So he had me doing them when I was 5 years old. So every day we would be on the floor, we'd do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. And I never clicked until, I would say maybe about, I don't know, 6 months ago, just sort of going back to that time and thinking, he actually had me doing belly breathing. He actually had me doing like belly, like obviously the basics of yoga is breathing into your belly for relaxation. So he had me doing all this stuff, all these practices for a very young age. I had a six-pack in like primary 6, primary 7. All the older boys in Kibby, like teenage boys, would all say, "Let me see your six-pack." And then they would hit me, get me tense up and hit me a punch, and I'd just stand there like that in primary 6. And then obviously I kind of sort of thought to myself, like, Ken, I'm obviously quite tough, and I never really backed down for anybody when I was young. There was always a lot of fighting and stuff like that when I was younger. Teenage years, got into like drinking and smoking. It was cannabis at the time. So smoking that, having a wee smoke of that and drinking. I realised that I couldn't drink and smoke that at the same time. I'd always be sick, so I stopped smoking and just drunk more. And then obviously the harder drugs came in. I would get half bottle of Buckfast and then half an ecstasy, and that would be the thing. I'd say about 14-year-old.
Really?
14-year-old, yeah. So into that sort of way. Obviously hiding it for your mum and dad and stuff like that is what you were drinking. And then once I started working on it was a groundwork squad, so it was obviously hard labour. As soon as you jump in the van, most of the guys, it was a good squad. There wasn't drinking on the job or that. Old gaffer, Derek Curry, he wisened me up, but at the same time the alcohol was always mentioned like throughout the day, and the sort of the lingo, the party, it was always mentioned. So there's no getting away from it in this society. But I had a couple of charges pending, like court cases, before I started in this squad. And my gaffer Derek Curry, as I say, he was a kind of straight-laced guy, hard-working guy, tough guy too. And he used to go like crazy at me. He used to give me a like obviously a telling off, and you'll not be working here if you're going to be like that. And I used to say, like, these are stuff before I started here. I'm going to screw the nut. And so
what was the charges? Just fighting then?
Breach of the peace, and I think it was an assault charge, just for fighting and stuff.
Through alcohol.
Just the usual false bravado, drinking and taking drugs and getting into trouble at the weekends.
Why do you think you got yourself into these positions in Jink? How was your, like, when you look back on, you're not saying you had like a bad upbringing or whatever, but when you look back on your younger self, why do you think, was there frustration in your life? Was there, like, obviously now you're able to look back with a clear mind and...
So, as I say, like, I just met my dad a couple of years ago, and I was saying earlier before we started the podcast, I just met my dad a couple of years ago. I never realised that the trauma that causes, no having both parents, it's so traumatising. Even though I had a great upbringing, my mum done her best for me, and I stayed with my gran and granddad, and they helped out a lot. But no having that balance between the male and the female aspect of your mum and your dad. There's a lot of stuff that your mum can give you, your dad can't. There's a lot of stuff your dad can give you that your mum can't. You know what I mean? So that balance wasn't there, and I was angry. I was frustrated. All these things as a young teen, and I didn't really realise. I didn't know exactly what was the problem. Amanda's obviously my girlfriend, Mrs. Brain Trainer. She's obviously pointed a lot of this out to me, and just digging into obviously my past and stuff like that, because I've grew a lot for obviously meeting Amanda. We can talk about that obviously, but at that time I was angry, I was frustrated, I didn't know why. But it was definitely because of that. Didn't get me wrong, my stepdad came into my life when I was in primary 6, going into primary 7 I think it was. And he's great, I love my stepdad, but it's not the same. He's not got that same sort of authority over you at that young age.
Will there be that feeling of, where did that come from? Biological dad, and probably maybe in your mind you wanted to know why your dad wasn't there. Would that be fair to say?
I know. I didn't think I actually realised that, like, how much it affected me. I just didn't really think about it. I was comfortable enough with my mum and that, and she done her best. But I didn't realise exactly how much trauma that caused until, like, just obviously doing the yoga and going in the inner self, just working on the inner self and digging deep and realising the trauma and that I've pushed down. But
and how do you feel about that now?
the journey that I'm on with the yoga and the breath and the meditation, like going, like not just working on the outer self but working on the inner self. Like I'll have days where I'm like on my knees in a sense, just digging this stuff up, because you're what you're doing with that is you're going deep into your nervous system, where you store all your trauma and your tension and your pain. And with the vigorous breath work, the sort of the Bastrika, the bellow breathing, you're giving your nervous system a shake about. You know what I mean? And then all this stuff that you've pushed down starts coming up. And this is why most people are on vices, because the stuff that they're pushing down, if they're off their vice, it starts to come up, because you're supposed to release, you're supposed to let go. With every breath you take, you let go of your breath, you're supposed to let go of trauma and experiences. But when obviously you're on your you're smoking every day, if you're drinking, you're pushing all that stuff down. But when you're going through these breathing practices, you're shaking your nervous system, and it's like, okay, it's like before stepping in that cold water, you're like, oh my God, what's going to come up today?
Really?
Every day.
These thoughts when you're in the water as well.
Every time, especially like coming into this time of year, like when it's starting to get colder. In the summer, it is cold. But when this time of year, it gets more interesting, and it's like every time I step in front of that water, I love it. I do it most days, but every time I step in front of it, I'm like, fuck, what's coming up today? Because there's always something, There's always something. But I sort of going back to like my teenage years, like there was a lot of fighting, a lot of drugs, drinking, fighting, false bravado, false confidence through the alcohol, because that's what it gives you. Yep. And then a few charges. I was I got to a point where like there was loads of people wanting to fight you. Again, in a small village, different villages want to fight you, or just things would happen just because you made a bit of a name for yourself. And what happened was one night we were out, it was at 3 o'clock in the morning, we were standing at the Kiwi. I'm from Kiwi in Stirling. Kiwi chip shop, we're all standing there, a squad of us, and a bigger boy, an older boy walked by, and one of the people that was with me shouted something to him. He came over and ended up in a scuffle, and he punched me in the face, took my hat off me, and I ended up like fighting with him. But then before I knew it, there was about 3 or 4 of us on him. And we gave them a sore one. And I actually just scraped getting the jail for that. Left in a bit of a bad way. Obviously in a different mindset for what I'm are today. I obviously regret it, and like I'm no boasting about it. It was a bad situation for me and obviously that boy. But I just scraped getting the jail, and I was like, whoa. And then just round about that same time, we went to Blackpool. It was my mate's stag do, so I kind of ran about with more people that were sort of older than me, just because obviously the way I was like I was fighting with these older people, and then they would have a lot of respect for me because of that. So I ended up kind of running about with older people. My pal's stag do in Blackpool, 21 of us went down, and only 20 of us came home. One of my pals got killed.
Oof, right, sorry.
No, it's all good. But that was a major catalyst for me. Right. I was 18, he was 21. There was people a wee bit older. There was a kind of age range between, maybe I was the youngest. And anyway, we went down, and we were only down there for 2 hours. And a boy, he was always getting in the bother and stuff like that. I ended up fighting with, I think the boys were like bare knuckle fighters and stuff. Right. They were gypsy fighters, And they ended up fighting with them. And my pal, I was with my pal, and there's 3 of us actually were in the strippers, and we just came out of the strippers, and my pal Ryan, he ran across to try and give them a hand. I was like, just leave it, because they're constantly in bother. I was starting to obviously think because of the charge that I was up for. And he ran across and he got hit one punch, his head hit off the tarmac, and that was it. He was brain dead for then. So it was a horrible day, the worst day of my life. He was in the hospital until the next morning. We were driving back up the road, and we went to see him in the hospital first. and we're driving back up the road and they told us I had to switch off the machine because there was no response. So that was a major catalyst for me to start changing, like they two things, one and then the other, because I was fighting with people. I'd like broke two of my hands. I'd broke two of my hands with fighting out in the street, and because I was lifting weights and stuff, I was strong. I was punching people and not doing exactly what happened to my pal, like hitting them one punch and knocking them out. And I was just like, whoa, like this is it. I need to stop this now. That's not happening to me, or I'm not doing that to anybody. That's not happening.
What age did you say that you were at that point?
I was 18.
You were just 18.
18, aye. I still went out and took drugs, but I calmed down. Like I would always jump in if one of my mates were arguing with somebody, and I would always kind of like be there for them. And I just stopped it. I was like, nah, that's not happening anymore. I just need to just look after myself. Still taking drugs, drinking and stuff like that, and then slowly but surely I found Thai boxing in 2008. Based Muay Thai at Bobby Quinn's place, Bangkok. Went along there. I was working in a job that was, the shift pattern was terrible, so I could only make it one day a week, one day some weeks, and then a couple of times other weeks. So I started training martial arts, but always lifted weights. I always like trained on my own. Always done a good session. I was in good shape. I was a bit heavier than what I am now, but I always lifted weights and kept myself strong. But that was a major catalyst for me to change my life. And then I do go back. Obviously, I never used to go back. I used to always think to myself, I'm just concentrating on now in my future. But you need to go back sometimes. You need to go back and obviously see how far you've come, because I forget sometimes, because it's been so long. If I've took any drugs, it's been like maybe I'd say about 2 or 3 years if I was actually like drunk. Don't really drink anymore. I have one bottle of beer and that's me sorted day. So you need to go back sometimes and sort of, and Amanda helps me with stuff like that, like inner child stuff, like your inner child stuff, the program that you receive when you were a kid. They say that by the time you're 35, if you've not checked it, if you've not had a major catalyst, like I'm glad that, but obviously it's horrible that happened. I'm sad that it took something like that for me to realise that major catalyst. But in a sense, I'm glad it happened to me when I was 18. Getting that major catalyst, it's obviously horrible, the catalyst that happened, but it happened to me at a young age for me to sort of open my eyes up and say, right, what's actually going on here,
Because we've had a conversation before about how you're kind of brought up into these loops of that your previous generations are doing anything wrong, but this sort of like, have a drink, it's a Friday, what you drinking for, and like that, because that's the previous generation and the generation before that, that's how it's always been. So like what like we've just done today, we've obviously not had a drink all weekend, we've got up, we went to the open mat at Braveheart at 10 o'clock, and to some people that's just obscene. Like they'd be on it last night, doing whatever, some maybe just having a drink or whatever, feeling terrible the day, but that's because that's what they've always done and what they think everybody does and what the generations before have done. So trying to break out of that loop or that cycle or whatever the word is, is difficult for people.
No, of course, mate. So it's, as I said, it's programmed into the way we talk and the way we think. Like, you celebrate or you reward yourself with a pint of beer. You know what I mean? You have your the Monday club. You go to work on a Monday and you reward like most people will reward themselves. It's probably one of the busiest days in the pub, like during the week, is a Monday night. So they reward themselves with alcohol, but when they're talking like this, going back to the TAR squad, like as I say, they're all good boys, and most of them are my pals. I'd love to help them. I've helped a few of them come off cocaine and stuff like that. But just observing when I'm out there working, it's all tied into their patter, their lingo, that, like talking about alcohol, talking about lines of cocaine and stuff like that. So if you're talking about it, you're thinking about it. So if you're thinking about it, you're talking about it. The next thing is you're going to act on it. I mean, all they three things, thinking, speaking, and acting, align in a certain direction. That is the way your life's going to go. But if you can start to, obviously, it does take most people to sort of, you need to extract yourself from that situation. And I think that's what I done after, obviously, I started martial arts and stuff. I extracted myself from like the people that I grew up with. I still love them all. When I see them, I speak to them and kind of give them respect and stuff like that. But they're still watching football during the week and having pints of lager and stuff like that. And that's fine if that's what they want to do. On you go. But once I started like really working on myself, you need to extract yourself from that situation, so you're not hearing people talking about drink, lines, grass, or stuff like that. Because if you're easily led, then you're just going to be led down that path. You're never going to get away from it. So it's in the way you think, it's in the way you speak, it's in the way you act. If you can align them to a sort of better way, like obviously for health, then you're going to go that way.
What I was wanting to ask you about is your brand, your Primal Balance. Well, we're probably jumping back and forward here, but obviously you started the Muay Thai. When did you, in between Primal Balance, you would have been training Jiu-Jitsu with, was it the Grip House to start with?
I was at the Grip House, so I started training at Josh Gavin's gym in Alloa. That was called the Dojo, and this is where Robert Whiteford, Rab Truesdale, Billy Bedlam, I don't know if you know all these guys.
I know the first two, aye.
So all these guys, and obviously Craig McIntosh, all these guys, but these boys were sort of a wee bit further than me and Craig. I started training there. It was a difficult time for me to start training too, because I was still heavy into like taking drugs at the weekend, and like some days I would get all ready and sit on the couch, and it'd be like, I'm not going to bother going, because you know what you're going there for. You're looking yourself in the mirror. There's no running away. When you step on that mat, it was like black belts, brown belts, and judo. And Josh Gavin was like a world champion grappler. So starting there was very difficult. Obviously Robert Whiteford, that was there, destroying you if you rolled with him. But moving there, getting involved with that, me and Mop sort of bonded right away. He'd been training for about 8 months before me, and I went along, and I would always see at that time too, like insecurity, a bit anxiety because of the drug taking, just getting away from it, like just trying to step away. But I knew I was going to get away from it, and that was what I needed to sort of move away. But me and Mops, I can remember like at the start, me and Mop would, on a Friday night, it was a no-gi grappling session, and we would sit for about an hour after the session, and we'd chat, and I'd be like how because I thought, because of fighting outside, I was like, could win my day a wee bit. I thought I could fight. And we're like, how the fuck are these cunts doing this to us? You know what I mean? That's actually wild, you know what I mean? But Mop obviously I'd kind of hardened into it a wee bit more, and kind of realised what was happening, and I was like, this is crazy, eh? And a lot of people sort of coming from my background would be like, fuck, I'm not doing that again. But I was like, I'm interested. I'm like, how is this happening? How are they managing to like destroy me the way they're destroying us, eh? Right. So I just sticking it out, and then because of that, because obviously extracting myself from the environment, like having a couple of bottles during the week to watch the football, and at the weekend just getting mad with it, as you say, eh? I've not said that for a while. But brushing shoulders with different people, you know what I mean? People that are actually looking to improve themselves, get better at life, and learn a skill that's going to it's developed me into obviously where I'm at today, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, something I never thought I would say. But
so see, when you were saying with Craig McIntosh, was he on his own journey at that point? Because he obviously we're going to have Craig McIntosh on the podcast soon, so let him obviously tell us all about that. But I know obviously Craig, his background, and then when he got into martial arts, so was he already on like his sort of clean, sober, like lifestyle by the time you met him then, or was he still sort of transitioning at that point?
I think as soon as he started martial arts, that was it for him. So it must have been about 8 months into it, I'd say. Aye, so he'd started martial arts. He was about 8 months into being sober. So
that must have been kind of inspiring for you then as well, eh?
No, definitely. I think we're on the same level, but I was still sort of like taking some stuff at the weekend. But at that point, I was trying to get away from it, because as soon as I started training, I was actually going out some nights, like the weekends. I would go out on the Friday, and I would be off it, and the Saturday, and I'd end up on it. And then I'd stay in for the full weekend. All your mates phoning you, what's happening, you're not coming out? And I'm like, no, like, you're a weirdo, you're this and that. You're like, okay. But then the next weekend I'd go out, I'd be mad with it for the full weekend, know what I mean? So it was just it was a wee battle I was going through at that point, just to try and get away. I was on and off, and slowly but surely I broke away. And when I did break away, just being yourself, like, it was, oh mate, it was so, I was in a bit of a dark place when I was still going over to train. As I say, sometimes I would get all ready to go, and I'd sit on the couch, and I just wasn't in the mindset for it. But just like getting away for, even it was most of the weekend, I would take obviously drugs, but it affected you all week.
Definitely. But
when I finally got like away from it completely, it was trying to find yourself. It was trying to actually be like, who are you? Because you know yourself when you're taking all that. So it took a wee while for me to sort of get over a wee dark spell, but I made sure I was just being committed. I was like trained, like lifted weights and stuff, but I just said, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to keep going with this, And I think at the start, like, this is a question too, like, why do you train? Why do you train martial arts? Why do you go to CrossFit? Why do you push yourself to that limit? Like, why do you do it? You need to ask yourself that question, because most people, or why do you start running marathons? But like, if you had a past to like drinking and drugs and stuff, addiction, you start running marathons. What you're on the way for? Because at that point, I was using martial arts, jiu-jitsu, going in there and just getting my arse handed to me. Just leaving everything on the mat. I was using that, to run away from my previous life. Obviously drinking and drugs and all that carry on. And I used it, and I had to ask myself a question at some point, like, why am I doing this to myself? Am I doing this to continue to run away, or am I doing it because I enjoy it? You know what I mean? Because somebody that runs a marathon after getting away from addiction, like, they're still, if they didn't ask themselves that question, like, they're still running away from something. They're still suppressing something. They're still.
I think it's just to have something to occupy your mind.
Aye, definitely. But you could be going in there and just destroying yourself just to run away from your everyday life. And I had to ask myself a question, like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I hate my life, or am I doing it because I enjoy it? And because I asked myself that question, I started beginning to actually enjoy it, enjoy the flow, jiu-jitsu and the movement and the pressure, and understanding how like getting put under pressure in the rounds could translate into obviously life. Because that journey for me was, as I said, when I got away from the drinking and drugs, it was hard. I didn't know who I was. I didn't actually know who I was. Because I used vices at the weekend. I was just getting absolutely mad with it all weekend. Binge drinking, like taking. There's a couple of times I took 5 ecstasy at the same time, Sunday morning.
To be honest with you, that's the norm for a lot of people.
Exactly.
A lot of kids. A lot of guys, maybe some guys that we've trained with, that train with us as well, that's been their background. I mean, I certainly wasn't an angel myself either. But having something to do at the weekend, giving yourself a purpose, getting up on a Sunday training, rather than boredom, drinking, or
eating.
Exactly.
Certainly.
So like I sort of touched on it, and then we went into your training background, but with Primal Balance then, so obviously you had your gym, that you started running yourself, and you decided that you wanted to focus more on helping people with Primal Balance. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Right. Sorry.
No, that was just letting you go.
Sorry. So I started. It was actually hip out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I remember.
And then it became hip out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and yoga. So that was it started 2019. I started that. I was coaching, as I say, like when I first started MMA and stuff. I thought I was going to be an MMA fighter. I thought that's what I'll do. I'm going to get away from this sort of lifestyle, but then I slowly found out that, or slowly kind of fell into a coaching role. Blue belt, I started like coaching. I started taking classes for my mate in his gym, and I kind of fell into the coaching role. And I think that's why, like, I competed a few times. I competed here and there, but I did fall into the helping sort of side of it, and that's why I believe that's what I'm here to do. Is like, you need to help yourself first. You need to obviously rid your trauma and find yourself first. But then obviously for people that want to come on this journey, it's a difficult journey obviously, to try and help them. But I started hip out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was mainly just Jiu-Jitsu. I never stopped training Jiu-Jitsu. I didn't think, obviously I love Jiu-Jitsu, but running the team, I just thought it's a full-time. It's full-time on its own, and I feel like yoga helps with Jiu-Jitsu, helps with football, it helps with your job, it helps with your relationship, and I just thought this is the way I want to go with things. So I started off with hip out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and after a while I thought, that name's too long. And I sat with myself and I meditated on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff, like I'll sit with stuff and I'll just let it sort of come to me. The more you can sit still, the universe, the God, whatever you want to call it, we are connected to our environment. You can call it environment. The more you can sit still and quiet your mind, relax your body, focus on your breath, we're constantly getting sent signals. It's your intuition, if you want to call it your intuition. But I was constantly getting sent signals and stuff like that. I was thinking, how am I feeling now? And I was feeling more primal within myself. You know what I mean? I feel like obviously just really connected to my body and my breath and my thoughts and stuff like that. And I was always, every time I was speaking to people, I was always saying balance, 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 balance. And I was like, Primal Balance, you know what I mean? So I changed the name to Primal Balance because I love jiu-jitsu, I love calisthenics, like just working my own bodies, learning how my body works, the yoga, the breathwork, the meditation, getting into cold war, all these different things, just it gives me balance, and I feel primal. So I changed the name over, just going back to obviously the hip out days. I wanted to build a community, have a safe environment for people to just come in and be themselves, find themselves first, be themselves. I was doing a lot of talking about obviously like recovery and stuff like that, like talking about like I'm open about my past. It was a long time ago obviously. I think people maybe look at me sometimes and say he's just always been like that. I've no, I mean I've been through a journey myself, as we all have, to get away from that stage. So Primal Balance, just obviously having the physical, the mental, emotional, the becoming spiritual, the mindset, and just having a balance between all that.
So have you got a lot of members that have come to you that were in that lifestyle before? They've met you, they've listened to some of your videos, or you've maybe spoke to them in person, and then that's them then changed their life because of that then?
So I've got clients that come to me for different backgrounds, like for obviously addiction, maybe like clients that are maybe just centred too much, like so much on their business, and they've kind of let everything else go in a sense. Childhood trauma, or just a array of different clients. I'm actually working with some teenagers one-to-one.
I've seen that, aye.
Like just like sort of like health anxiety, like it just blows my mind that like young kids are struggling with stuff like that. So I've got a range. That's what I'm saying. So when I started the yoga and I got like heavily like deep into the yoga, I've still got a lot to learn obviously, but I just felt like it helps with every angle. Like I felt like when I was speaking to people, I had an answer for everybody. Like I had a wee sort of like, I'm not saying that like that's the way you need to do it or whatever, but I just felt like I had like when somebody said something to me, they were like, you're really good to talk to. You feel it's like I needed to hear that, and I was like, sometimes I was thinking to myself, where the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean? Like where did that come from? I just gave them a light bulb moment or a wee nugget there, and I thought, I didn't know where that came from there. It just came out, just, you know what I mean?
I think it's because you're being so honest with yourself, and I just think you just radiate just genuine help and advice for people. So I've messaged you before and I've listened to you speaking, and I'm like, you're just the type of person that I think is good to be around and to listen to. And I know you've not got it all completely figured out, but you're definitely on a track that I think that a lot of people maybe could be doing with listening to and investing in time, putting stuff into practice that you're teaching.
100%, mate. This, what you said at the start there is being honest with myself. Like, jiu-jitsu will make you honest, alright, but most people just have a mindset of just being found out on the mat at first, like I was, like fucking hell, I was
everybody
like, exactly, but they'll only be honest on the mat. Like, are you taking that philosophy, whatever you're learning, in every single thing that you do, like with your relationship, your partner, your business, are you being honest there? You know what I mean?
It's kind of hard to be, isn't it? To be. Sometimes you're kind of in that loop of like, how do you act when you're with certain people, because some kind of, maybe because it's expected of you. Aye,
but at the same time, so that comes into confidence about actually finding yourself. Be honest with yourself first. Like I'm the same in every single room that I go into. Doesn't matter if I'm out there working with the boys on the roads and I'm not saying they're doing here or whatever. Aye. I just see everybody there. I just flow into every situation. If I'm with these boys, have a good time with these boys, don't get me wrong. Or if I'm in a meeting, like obviously with a high-end client, or we're working with charities and stuff, and talking to charities, just be myself, mate. And you need to be confident to be yourself, and know if you walk into a room and the energy or the people in that room just push and pull you in a certain direction, then, you know what I mean, you're not being honest with yourself, eh? So, like, if you can walk into whatever room you walk into, like, doesn't matter where you go, you just be yourself. But it takes a lot of, obviously, what it takes is being honest with yourself and getting yourself at your comfort zone as much as possible in as many different areas. That's why I love to do, like, I didn't compete as much with jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying I'll not compete again, but I will jump in. It's like, I'll have a year off and I'll jump in and have a match, and then, like, the ADCC, like, I'll show, I just want to make sure that my jiu-jitsu's still working. You know what I mean? It's not.
It's working.
You know what I mean? It's no. It's no a lot of shite, but, like, I'm still there. Have a wee go with a high level competitor. Win or lose doesn't really matter. But as long as I can hang with them and you know what I mean, make it difficult for them to submit me or whatever, it keeps me honest. But you need to get yourself out your comfort zone as many different areas, like going into that cold water, like that gives you something that nothing else will give you, and it releases stuff that nothing else will release. So you're releasing and you're gaining for that cold water. But getting out your comfort zone and as many different areas, and then it allows you to be yourself in as many different areas. And I always talk about this. I like to just sit still, quiet my mind, focus on my breath, relax my body, and just sit there and just be there, right? But what that does is it complements me when I'm in a tough situation. If somebody's Chris Duncan or Robert Whiteford or Stevie Waye was smashing me into the mat there, it keeps me calm and relaxed there. The more calm I can be in every situation in my life, the more I'm going to be able to absorb information better, the more I'm going to be able to deal with that stress, that pressure in a better way, you know what I mean? If I'm there and some, like Stevie's on, like smashing you into the mat, if I'm panicking there, I'm done. But if I can just be so calm and relaxed there, and then I'm just being myself there, eh? I'm just actually being myself, eh? So, your breath is a tool, like your breathing is a tool, and being able to remain calm and present is a superpower, eh? And be yourself.
See, what we were talking about off camera as well was what you were talking about the Primal Balance. Was it the back to basics?
Back to
regarding
basics.
All this, was it courses you said what it was that you're looking to do to add into that package that you're offering your guys? Do you want to elaborate a wee bit on that?
Aye, so obviously, when I'll go back to when having my space, my own gym. I love to do all these different things, and it's so difficult it is hard to keep up with them all. Like obviously yoga, breathwork, meditation, that all sort of ties into one in a sense for me anyway. But the calisthenics and the jiu-jitsu and the cold water, I had my own place and I was doing most of this stuff. I ended up having like job offers, like just working with people here and there, and I was getting pulled out of the gym quite a bit. And at that time, it's like it's hard to say no when you first start. You can't really say no. Just try to build your business and get yourself out there. But it came to a point. I met Amanda, my girlfriend, and she's sort of like freelance and just goes into communities and businesses, corporations, and I was like, all right. I says this is what I want to do. Yeah. So I couldn't have my own place, and then doing all that at the same time. At the same time, at the same time, like trying to teach all these different disciplines was difficult. You know what I mean, it was hard, but I've got myself to a good level with them all. Loads to learn, still scratching the surface, even with jiu-jitsu. I believe that, even with yoga, still scratching the surface, but having to like teach all these different disciplines in person was so difficult. So it's taken a wee bit of time. Obviously we're talking about speaking on camera, speaking to the camera. It's so daunting at the start. Try to build online stuff. I've got my YouTube channel, Primal Balance. Obviously my social media, Instagram and Facebook. Talking on the camera and just getting that stuff. But the school community is somewhere where I can just sort of offload like the information, the knowledge, the sort of practices that I've put myself through, and I've got to a no bad level with. I can actually extract that and put them into courses there for the community. At the same time, building a community where we do like people people probably laugh at me when I talk about gratitude. My girlfriend Amanda, she's a gratitude queen. She's had a Facebook community group. She's a gratitude 10 things she's grateful for every single day for about 4 years now. And she's in this state of just like, gratitude puts you in a positive and an abundant state. You can't be negative and be grateful at the same time. So when you're grateful for what you've got, the universe will give you more. Because if you're not grateful for what you've got, then why would you get any more? Again, why would you be received? Well, why would it give you any more? So this community, gratitude every day. I'll upload videos, just with tools and techniques, and like just talking like what I do on Instagram. I'll kind of elaborate a wee bit more and give the community a wee bit more. Maybe a 10-minute video, just rabbiting on. But and then I've got courses here. I'm building a breathwork, so like breath awareness to self-awareness course, because that's what it'll do for you. The more you bring awareness to your breathing with as many different tools as possible, you start to obviously bring more awareness to yourself, how you react to things, how you're thinking, how you're speaking, what we were talking about earlier. If you're talking to your mates and it's like, we'll do that and we'll go for a pint, or I mean, you're actually programming yourself to think a certain way with the way you speak, and vice versa. But so I'm building a community where I can put courses on. I'll do live sessions. It's a hybrid community, so as in like the community's on, mostly it is online, but I want to have like meetups once a month. Go and do the cold water. I tried to get my community date last month, and they all shot a brick and didn't know what to come. I think it was just a bit too much for them at this time of year, so I'll wait for the better weather to come in to start taking them to the cold water and getting them used to that stuff. But it's a in-person online community. It allows me to build courses on calisthenics, breathwork, yoga. Well, I'll venture into jiu-jitsu. I'll see what happens, but it allows me to do all that stuff without having to do it in person all the time. I do want to go into gyms and teach like breathwork and yoga and stuff like that for jiu-jitsu. I've been messaging gyms. It's been quite difficult actually. I think people are still like this a wee bit with yoga and the breathwork, and they didn't understand how much it's going to benefit their jiu-jitsu. Definitely. It's skyrocketed my jiu-jitsu, my movement, my breathing, my mobility, my strength, in all different areas on the mat. So like that is the sort of basics of the school community. I'm going off topic there again, but that is the basic of that community, where I can have like every day I'm on gratitude and just keep my community, keep everybody accountable, and try to encourage people, inspire people, and on the community too. Actually, you can actually, it's a gamification, so I've got things you can unlock if you contribute more on this community. You get your unlock, and one of the girls are ready to unlock a 1-to-1 session with us, where I'll just do a sort of, I'm doing a bit of life coaching with them, mindset.
So just you and coaching. Amanda together then?
No, this is my community on its own. She's got a WhatsApp community. It's
so is it, sorry to interrupt, is it WhatsApp if people want to look into that to join then, or is it just purely WhatsApp, or WhatsApp, YouTube as well you mentioned? So
YouTube, Primal Balance on YouTube, you can find me on there. Obviously Primal Balance on Instagram. I'm not really using my business page on Facebook, but it says Stevie Waye on Facebook. But I've got a WhatsApp group. I've called it the Gratitude Challenge, right? So that's free, obviously. Anybody can join that. Get on the gratitude every day and just see it's changing a lot of people's mindset. Just obviously, like, they're like, that's amazing. Like, I didn't really think about that stuff before.
Rather than just waking up in a negative mind. If you're having gratitude straight away, then you're
setting your mind up positive mindset. And then obviously so the WhatsApp's there, it's free. But then if they want to buy into it a wee bit more, it's £11 a month. It's less than £3 a week. If they want to buy into it more, then they can jump onto the school community, where every day I'm gratitude, I'm uploading videos and building courses and stuff like that. So
So what's it been like? Obviously, I know you've got your son, but you've just had a new baby as well, haven't you, with Amanda? So what's it been like going through that and still like being positive and like practicing everything that you preach? Because I know you do. I know you will, Stevie. Just with like the sleepless nights and like it's just been back in that cycle again, because it'll be easier when you've got your full 8 hours sleep and you're waking up feeling great, ready to tackle the day. But when you're back to a newborn stage again, what's that been like?
Well, first and foremost, a shock to the system, obviously. 10 years apart, but being with Amanda, it's a different story. She breastfed for the first part, so I was still getting my sleep. It was all.
They're still up every hour though.
It was all good that way. I think I slept through most of it, to be honest with you. And I would say, like, some nights I'd say, listen, do you want me to take a wee? But obviously, if she stops breastfeeding for a period, then it's harder to get it going. So, but listen, she's stopped breastfeeding now, and I'm obviously doing night feeds and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me, mate. See, when you're there with your wee baby and that's bonding right there, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's like, I've actually made you, you know what I mean? It's unreal, But just being with somebody that's on the same wavelength, like, emotional regulation is a big word in their house, like just being emotionally regulated, managing our stress with our daily practices, like my daily routine. It's a different ball game for obviously when I was with Saul's mum, my wee boy's mum. No disrespect to her, I've told her everything I'll say right now is like we brought the worst out of each other. I was in a different stage of my life, my journey, a different sort of mindset back then. It always is hectic when a baby comes in. It's an amazing thing. Life sort of slows all the way down, like you do come into the present moment. It's an amazing thing, but I was a different mindset back then, and Saul had, I believe, obviously Saul had to be born. He had to come into this life, but that wasn't the relationship that I was to be in for the rest of my life, obviously, But I learned a lot in that relationship. I learned a lot about myself. They say you have a karmic relationship. I think that was my karma for being a bad boy when I was younger, But we get on great now, didn't get me wrong, me and his mum, we get on good now, but it was a different sort of stage of my journey, mindset, and then obviously, like, meeting Amanda, I was like, wow, like, this. She said to me at the start, it was like, you're the male version of me.
That's what it seems like to me from the outside.
And I was like,
obviously I don't know Amanda. I'm just looking at what I see on Instagram, but you seem like the same.
And I was like, when she said that, I was like, okay. And then after a wee while, I was like, it's actually mental how we've came together to sort of obviously have a relationship, have a family. We're working together on sort of business, like collaborating and stuff like that too. It's amazing to be working alongside her and just be beside her and having a kid and a family. And
she seems to be doing really well from
amazing.
what I can see. I don't know, what is it? What's she doing that's different from Primal Balance then? I'm becoming more sort of the mindset too, if that makes sense. But when I met her, it's like she's the mind, and I was the sort of body side of it, the body and the breath, and she's the mind. So we sort of just kind of came, like, it was amazing, how working together, like having a relationship together, having a family together. It's been amazing. It's been like so just calm. It's just really, we've got a calm house, calm environment. I know when you have a baby, most of the time, like, there's a lot of arguing going on and like fighting and stuff like that, and none of that's happening, and the baby will feed off anybody. Like, you have a baby, the baby feeds off the energy and the environment and the room. It can obviously stunt their growth in a sense if there's a lot of stress and shouting and stuff like that. So we're just building. I've created harmony within myself, balance and harmony with my practices. Amanda's the same, and we've just created a harmonious environment for
the baby to thrive, and we've got 2 wee dogs. They're mental, but it's just a good environment to be in and bring up our baby, and at the same time, obviously, we're running our businesses, still like training and growing ourselves. Still on a journey for ourselves and collaborating. It's great.
And what the other thing I wanted to ask was Primal Retreats. I don't think we've touched on that yet, have we?
So Primal Retreats is a thing. Like, so going back to having my gym again, I would go up into Stirling, have my lunch, and I would speak to people. Some guys that I knew. I know quite a lot of people in Stirling. Some people I didn't know, they would end up just chatting to me outside the cafe that I used to go into. Cisco's Cafe, it's called. If you're ever in Stirling, get yourself there. It's just good. But I'd sit there and I don't know if it was my energy, but people like some people just come up to you and just offload tell you their life story. I used to be like, "Wow, like this is mental, eh?" But so I'd get chatting to guys would speak to me, and I'd say, come down to my place and do a wee bit of yoga or do a wee bit of jiu-jitsu, or I'll come down, and I'd see them again, and but I got to the stage, it was like they're not ready for that. These guys, and they would sit and talk to me for about half an hour. I would obviously enjoy that too, but not obviously hearing their story, but just having that chat with people, different people, and just finding out obviously a wee bit more about them and trying to help them as much as possible. I was like, they're not ready for like the physical stuff. They need to speak to themselves better, they need to be thinking better, they need to obviously work on their mindset. So what I done was, on a Monday night, after I think we had jiu-jitsu, then it was 8 till 9, I called it Primal Mindset, for men to come in with a wee coffee and a tea, just got some biscuits and had a wee chat for an hour and a half. End up running to like 2 hours and stuff, but had a wee chat for a couple of hours, and it was really helping people, and I was alright, okay. And actually a place in Stirling, the Stirling Community Enterprise, they actually got in contact with us, me and my mate who was running that, and funded us to actually take it into their establishment. And it started it was doing really well, like just helping young guys coming in, even older guys coming in, and just having a chat, and just, as I said, with the inner work that I'm doing, I just felt like I had an answer to, like, a wee bit of helpful advice for most people, in whatever situation that you're in. My mate's he's a life coach too, actually, and he was obviously helping and stuff. But then it was like, how could I like build on this? And I started a primal retreat. I think I've done 3 of them. Obviously, I think things have changed, but I do want to get back to them. So the Primal Retreat is just having a full day. We came in, introduced ourselves, done a bit of yoga, yoga and breathwork, just to kind of relax everybody. I feel like when you're relaxed, you absorb information. When you're relaxed, obviously, you're not on edge. Like people are so, like, these things they're quite difficult for people if they are struggling with whatever they're struggling with in their life, to come along and just to be relaxed. So I would relax them into the room. We've done a wee bit of jiu-jitsu, done a wee bit of cold water, we went a walk into nature, just all the things that I do. I just put it into a full day event, and the guys are loving it,
Well, a break from what their lives are like normally, the lifestyle.
What I used to sort of sell it as in, like, how do you feel after a yoga session? I feel great, I feel amazing.
Relaxed.
Right, so imagine taking that 1 hour to an 8-hour session, you know what I mean? Because it's a full day reset for your mind and your body. That full day reset, and it worked really well. And actually, the first one I done, I was actually really overwhelmed that day. Like, I a few times, and I was like going through the practices and stuff, the guys would be lying on the mat breathing and stuff. I felt like I was ready to burst out greeting. I was actually like having like, I was gaining from it too, if that made sense. Guys coming in and crying, and all the rest of the room just like everybody like, listen, it's all right, you know what I mean, it's fine, like just let it go. And I was really opening like grown men, like a lot of fighters came in that day. There's a few boxers and stuff, like opening them up. And then Amanda would actually, she was a guest speaker on a couple of them. And she came in the afternoon and she was like, whatever you done with the guys, like they were so open to what she was having to say about the mind, eh? Right. They were so open there. It's amazing, mate, eh? This is why we're me and Amanda's, we're finally getting round to sort of just saying, come out, let's actually start working together, because we go into like charities and community businesses and stuff like that and do a mind-body collaboration, and it blows our mind. Even with the staff and with like the service users. So we're putting together on the 30th of November in Stirling, the Riviera it's called. It's a big sort of wedding venue, but we're doing a mind body 4-hour collaboration together. I just think it's definitely needed. So with the primal retreat, I'm just sort of adding to that by kind of getting more on board with Amanda, but I still want to do like stuff for men, because most men feel a bit uncomfortable when there's women there too, you know what I mean? Right. So
is Amanda's Mrs. Brain trainer, we said, yeah. Is it mainly women that she works with then?
No, she works with, there's been men and women, but like in our WhatsApp group will tell you the story, really, there is more women than men, because guys will feel more comfortable with a guy, and even with yoga and stuff like that, like a lot of guys will not go to a yoga session where there's a woman instructor, and it's mostly all women in the class. But like I've broken down a lot of barriers, we obviously, like, because most people are like, you're a yoga instructor. Aye, I love it. I mean, it's my life now in a sense, and they're like, that's mental. They would never have thought that, eh?
I think you're maybe one of the guys that inspired me to start doing yoga. I think you and Stevie Waye, just seeing like how the flexibility helps with jiu-jitsu, and that definitely inspired me to get involved with it. It was during the lockdown I started practicing every day. Can't say I've stuck to it now, to be honest, but I do remember how great you feel.
Aye,
just getting up in the morning before the kids are awake, even just 20 minutes.
So I'm just sort of coming to realise this, like I say it all the time, is flexibility is the new strength, eh? To be flexible in your body will help you unlock strength at your end range. I mean, your close range, your end range, you'll be stronger there. You'll be able to explode out of that, be comfortable there. So, and then obviously, the more flexible you become in your body, the more flexible you become in your mind, because it is for your mind at the end of the day. We go through all these different poses and flows and stuff like that to create a stable mind. So you become more flexible in the mind when you become more flexible in the body. Even in jiu-jitsu, if I can put myself into like a certain position that's maybe like so difficult for most people, and be comfortable, be relaxed there, then I can find strength and be able to explode out of that. And it makes it harder for somebody else to actually put me in an uncomfortable position. So the way I see it is, the flexibility is obviously, for me, flexibility is the new strength.
Have you done? I know you're good friends with Chris Duncan, obviously in the UFC. Have you done work with Chris regarding like yoga, flexibility, or even like your breathwork stuff, like, or is it just purely rounds that you go in and help him with?
So Chris has sort of jumped on board a couple of times. We've actually been up Kings Park in Stirling. I don't know if you know where that is. It's a big park, obviously well-known park. Me and Chris has been up there in the summertime, going through yoga and stuff, yoga and breathwork. Chris has jumped on board. He's came to a lot of my yoga sessions in the old unit, the old place. Even through the lockdown, I gave him access to, because I was running. Actually, that's when I first started going like on Zoom and teaching through Zoom. Right. And I gave him access to it. Him and his girlfriend Laura, the two of them, they were both jumping on some sessions. That's where I found my voice, my online voice. But no, Chris has kind of jumped in and out. I've done some breathing practices with him. I always kind of like say stuff, kind kind of give him a wee nudge about it. But yeah, I know he's busy.
He's doing well.
Oh, he's doing amazing. He's doing great. Chris is
Great to see you, Scottish guys.
I knew for the start. That's what Chris. He says it was you, me, myself, and John Cullen that said to him at the very start, "You're going to end up the UFC." When he first started training me, I was at MXP in Stirling. He came in, I think it was more sort of kickboxing, K1 he had done before.
Right.
And I'd obviously done a good bit of grappling and MMA training and stuff. And I just knew right away, like, he was obviously yet to learn the ground stuff. But anything you showed him or taught him soaked like a sponge, and he was using it on the next guy, you know what I mean? So I knew right away that it was...
Taking it in.
Aye.
So just the last thing I was going to ask you then was, you said about you're talking about jumping back into competition or whatever, but is there anything, like, because there's quite a lot of opportunities now, it's changed. There's competitions thrown a bit of money about as well. I don't know, have you seen the competition in Manchester, is it Ikigai? You seen that? It's,
no, I've not seen it, no.
It's big Henshaw's, Stephen Henshaw's gym.
Right.
He's a black belt under Aspinall's dad.
Oh, right, nice.
Remember his first name. $5,000 for the winner. It's a blue belt only.
Right.
I mean, if that's the direction that grappling's going in, like, it sounds like it'll be more enticing for people to compete. I don't know what you thought about.
I've not really, for a while, I've not really thought about it, to be honest. I will jump in and back in at some point. When
was the last one? ADCC?
It was ADCC.
Last ADCC.
ADCC, and I went down and done the British Open.
Right.
I never done too well in that, to be honest, but I done that straight after it, the ADCC.
Was that would be the gi though, eh? The British
no,
Open?
it was no gi.
Oh, was it no gi? Right.
No gi one, aye. Sorry. So I don't know. I'll see what happens. To be honest, I've really not been studying much jiu-jitsu now. I'm more so sort of studying myself. I love to go on and obviously train with Robert Whiteford and Chris Duncan, and I'm just there. I'm just present in the moment. And I'm feeling my way through the rounds. You know what I mean? I'm learning obviously a bit of wrestling, a bit more wrestling and stuff. But I'm just reacting. I'm not been studying the way I used to study jiu-jitsu, like buying obviously tutorials and books and stuff. But the new, it's just about, like, I'm in that flow state. I feel I'm starting to be in that flow state where I can just go into any environment and just be myself and just get put under a wee bit of pressure and just realise that I can actually still, like, hold it together in every situation that I go into. Just developing a mindset, like flexibility, balance, strength, all these things that I do. I feel like the kids need to be, like, especially kids, need to be taught. But I don't know about competition right now, but I'm still brown belt. Maybe when I'm black belt, then that's when you want to really obviously go out and...
How long have you been a brown belt for now then? 2 years?
Brown belt, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 years now. 2 or 3 years, I think. Is it 20?
Is it through
no, wait a minute.
Through Submission Factory? 2
years maybe, aye. Submission Factory, Craig McIntosh, aye. My good pal.
Solid guy.
Coach, aye, definitely.
Hopefully he'll come and do the open mat as well, and then we'll do the podcast. But I think he's quite busy on a Sunday, so we'll just need to see. So is there anything else that you want to? Is there anything that we've not spoke about that you want to briefly touch on, or?
So obviously, like, becoming more flexible, obviously, and being able to let things go and stuff like that. I think that's a real journey for me, is to find out who I am as a person. You know what I mean? Like, who am I? Obviously, I didn't know who I was when I was taking drugs. To be flexible enough, moving into a camper van for a bit. I had obviously plans and goals and stuff like that for that. Just it was. The camper van was bought and kitted out for me and my son to move in. I would get him at the weekends and then do what I was doing, like just sort of move. I was wanting to move online. It was just obviously just getting the the right timing, obviously. But I met Amanda in that time, and I was back and forth between her house and the van because my boy stays in Stirling, she stayed in Glasgow, and then we made the decision to sort of move into the van together. And after 3 months, she fell pregnant.
Right.
So we had to get back into the house. But just I think it's about building a mindset, balancing yourself first, and then just obviously listening to your thoughts, like the intuition, whatever it is. Because I believe 100%, the longer you can stay still, like messages are coming through all the time, and just going with the flow, if that makes sense. So I sold my house, moved into a van. If I never done all that, I wouldn't have met Amanda, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But I just, I didn't regret anything. I just go with the flow, and if I feel, when I'm meditating, if something's coming into my head, it keeps coming back, I'm like, right, okay, I'll sit with it for a wee bit, and if it keeps coming, I'm like, right, let's do it. You know what I mean? Just making decisions, taking chances. When you take chances, the universe will open up for you and give you what you want with a wee bit of hard work. Just becoming more flexible within yourself, stable-minded, finding that balance, and just trying not to. I feel for me, it's like you hang on to stuff and you're like, no, I can't let that go, or that situation go, or that relationship. And it's like, for me, it's if something's no serving me, it needs to go. It needs to go. I do everything out of love. I love my life. I love my kids. I love my dogs. I love my Amanda. I love what I do. But if I'm not loving something, then I didn't do it. You know what I mean? People hold on to, people will stay in a job, for jobs and that too. I've jumped to good jobs, think to myself, I'm hating my life now. I'm not enjoying this, so I need to leave this job. And then everybody in that job's like, oh, what are you doing? You're mental. Why are you leaving that? Why? It was Diageo, actually. I worked in Diageo. What about your shares? What about your pension? I'm like, I'm fucking 30. I'm 30 year old. I was 30 year old at the time. I'm 30 year old. And my pension's coming at 65. Why would I be in here hating life and just to wait till I'm 65? No, that's no the way. Get what I mean? Wait till you're 65 and you got all that money, and let's go and do something that you love, and money will come at some point. You know what I mean? Just being able to take chances and live your life if you want to live it. Know how somebody else is telling you, or living out of fear. I think when you get out of the fear, the lack mentality, something that, for me, was a big thing to overcome. Coming from a background, my mum, great, obviously love my mum to bits, my stepdad, but very lack mentality, as most people in this society are. Everything's out of fear, and what if that happens, and what if this and that, what if it does happen, you know what I mean? What if I sell my house and I move into a camper van for a bit, and then can just feel just obviously live that way for a wee bit, and then I meet somebody and then boom, and it's just like what if things work out for you, you know what I mean? Instead of living oh no, I can't do this because of that, and this,
for the worst.
Exactly, you know what I mean? So it's about, obviously, and it comes into gratitude too, being grateful for what you've got, because the universe, whatever, God, whatever you want to call it, will definitely give you more.
Well, we forget all the good things we've got, don't we? Tend to focus on the negatives when we should be focusing on the positives all the time. So
we take it for granted, eh?
Aye.
And that's obviously going back to Primal Balance. The first tools that we were ever given, the first ever tools that we were given was our body, our mind, and our breath, to get us through our day, to get us when we were back in the hunter-gatherer days, to get us out of bed in the morning and to get us safely into our bed at night. Our body, our mind, and our breath. And we take these three things for granted. The tool is the number one tool we have is our breathing, eh? Our breathing gives us life, it gives us energy, all this stuff. When you can start to bring awareness to your breath and start to begin to synchronise your breathing to every movement that you make, every movement you make gets better. And when you can synchronise your body, your mind, your body and your mind through using your breath, then your life gets so much better. You start to create that flow state, and that's what Primal Balance is all about. Is about teaching people. I'm still learning myself. I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. Didn't get me wrong, but I'm at a sort of level where I know that once we align your body, our mind, and we are breathing, like we create that flow state within our mind and our body. Like nothing bothers me anymore. Like I can't remember the last time I got upset or angry. Sometimes you get close to it, didn't get me wrong, but I feel like I've created within myself a stable mind. I'm sort of like just centered. I didn't get too happy. Like I didn't get overly happy, like ecstatic, or I didn't get too sad. I will get happy, I will get sad, obviously, and you do get angry sometimes. It's like, but you always come back to that sort of level and stable mindedness, and that's what Primal Balance is about. Learning to obviously use your body, figure out your breath, and then obviously quiet your mind and centre your mind and realise that every thought, you don't need to give energy to every single thought that you have. And this is where I'm getting to now, obviously, with my practices is coming to the sort of mindset, but we use our breath. If we can bring awareness to our breath, then we can start to regulate our breathing and obviously work our breath to aid or manage anxiety, depression, fear, doubt, all this stuff. Then you start to use it to rid your trauma, get your stress, manage your stress, rid your trauma, and then you can use it to obviously raise your consciousness, raise your vibration, all this good stuff. But you need to rid your trauma first. But Primal Balance is body, mind, and breath alignment.
Well, it's been great, Stevie. Great to see you again. I know you've probably got a lot more you could touch on.
Talk all day.
But if people are interested in hearing more, they can contact you directly. You've got your WhatsApp group you've mentioned. You've got your YouTube channel as well.
YouTube channel.
So I'm sure you've got a lot more that you can touch on. But thanks very much for coming in, man. It's great to see you. Well,
thank you. I appreciate you having me on. It's good to obviously get my message out. Just one more thing, when we obviously figure out ourselves and start to bring balance into our life, then obviously we start to feeds off onto our kids. So the more we can know ourselves and obviously rid of trauma, learn the tools and techniques, then obviously the kids are the future, the next generation. We can maybe touch on that the next time I come in, mate.
Perfect. Thanks very much, buddy.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Cheers.